50 Cent was not done with music the way many fans had been claiming online. For a long time, people in comment sections kept saying that he had retired from rapping and was only focused on business and television. Many fans believed he would never jump back into a rap battle again. But that idea never really made sense. Even while building his media empire and working on projects like Power, he was still showing up on features and still connected to the music scene. Because of that, it was always possible that he could step back into the booth if the moment felt right. The tension in the hip-hop world had already been building slowly for weeks. Conversations on podcasts, interviews, and social media were creating small sparks between different artists. At first, a lot of people online were laughing about it and turning the situation into memes. Fans were joking and acting like nothing serious would happen. But in rap culture, small jokes can quickly turn into real competition. Sometimes one comment can push someone into the studio, and suddenly a song appears that changes the entire conversation. That is exactly what happened here. Things started getting attention when people noticed a slick line that 50 Cent placed in the theme song for Power. The line sounded like a small jab aimed at T.I. It was not loud or aggressive, but fans caught it quickly. Because the song plays every time someone watches the show, that little line repeats again and again. Some people said it was a clever way to send a message without dropping a full diss record. Not long after that, things became much louder. 50 Cent released a new song with Max B called No More Treks, No More Lies. When the record first appeared, many listeners believed the target was still T.I. and his family. That was the first theory spreading across social media. But as people listened more closely, the message started sounding different. It began to look like the record was actually aimed at a group of New York rappers who had been discussing him on podcasts and interviews. Those names included Jim Jones, Maino, Fabulous, and Dave East. All of them had been part of conversations around the Let's Rap About It podcast circle. Instead of responding through interviews or social media posts, the response arrived through music. That alone made the moment feel like a classic hip-hop situation, where artists answer criticism on a record. When the song dropped, the internet reacted immediately. Some fans were excited because they felt like real rap competition was returning. Others were more critical and started debating the quality of the verse. A lot of people online said the flow sounded old school and reminded them of earlier rap battles. But another group of listeners argued that the style sounded dated and not as sharp as his older work. The debate became huge across social media. Some listeners even went as far as calling the verse trash and saying it missed the mark completely. Others said the verse was actually solid and did what it was supposed to do. It was not meant to be a legendary record, it was simply a response to people talking about him. That difference in opinion kept the conversation alive for days. The situation became even louder when 50 Cent released an AI-style video for his verse. The visuals included images that looked like Jim Jones, Maino, Fabulous, and Dave East. The post quickly spread across social media because fans felt like the message was now very direct. Along with the video, he added a caption joking about the situation and saying that he was the algorithm. That one line created thousands of reactions online. Some people laughed at the joke, while others took it as another shot toward the artists involved in the conversation. While fans were debating the verse, another part of the situation started confusing people even more. That part involved Max B. Since his release, many of his interviews had been calm and respectful whenever the topic of Jim Jones came up. He did not sound angry or aggressive. In fact, sometimes it sounded like there was a chance the two could reconnect one day. Because of that history, people were surprised to see him on a record that looked like it was aimed at artists connected to Jim Jones. Fans started asking questions about why he would choose that exact moment to appear on a track with 50 Cent. The confusion grew even bigger when fans remembered some of the conversations that had been happening on podcasts. During one discussion, Maino talked about the meaning of loyalty and friendship. He explained that the word friend carries responsibility. According to him, real friendship means respecting the people close to you and thinking about how your actions might affect them. He spoke about trust and how friends should be able to rely on each other in important situations. If someone calls you a friend, there are certain lines you should not cross. That message was about loyalty and standing by people who have supported you. During the same conversation, Jim Jones shared his own thoughts. He explained that relationships in hip-hop often go back many years. Sometimes artists grow up around each other and build bonds that go beyond music. Those relationships can become personal, not just professional. Because of that history, fans started analyzing the new record like it was a chess move. When artists work together during a tense moment, people assume the collaboration has meaning. Even if the intention was simple music, the public often sees it as a message. Another moment that people remembered involved Dave East attending a birthday dinner for Max B after he came home. That event showed that some connections still existed between different artists. Later conversations about that dinner created debates among fans about loyalty and respect. When you put all those events together, the situation becomes very complicated. On one side, there are years of history and past friendships. On the other side, there are new songs and public responses that can change everything quickly. The internet also plays a huge role in how these situations grow. In earlier times, rap conflicts mostly stayed inside music. Today, every small action gets analyzed online. A simple emoji or short comment can start a huge debate. That is exactly what happened when Max B reacted to a post related to the track with his famous wavy emoji. Something that small created a wave of theories among fans. Some people believed the emoji confirmed he knew the direction of the song. Others thought it was simply a playful reaction. When fans start analyzing every small move, the story grows bigger than the music itself. People begin connecting old interviews, past events, and new songs to create their own explanations about what is happening. Supporters of 50 Cent argued that dropping a record was the right response. In their view, rap has always been about competition. If people talk about you publicly, answering through music is part of the culture. Supporters of Jim Jones looked at the situation differently. They felt like podcast discussions should not automatically turn into diss records. From their perspective, the drama was being pushed too far. This difference in opinion created huge debates across hip-hop communities. Some fans wanted more music responses because they enjoy lyrical battles. Others hoped the tension would calm down before it turned into a bigger conflict. Another interesting part of this situation is how different generations of fans see it. Older listeners remember the long history of New York rap and understand the background behind these names. Younger fans often know these artists mainly through social media clips and newer interviews. Because of that difference, reactions can look very different depending on who you ask. Some people see the record as an important moment in a long story. Others treat it as entertainment and simply wait for the next response. One thing that almost everyone agrees on is that the collaboration between 50 Cent and Max B was unexpected. Seeing those two names on the same record created a moment that caught many fans off guard. At the same time, it reminded people that alliances in hip-hop can change quickly. Artists who were not working together before can suddenly appear on the same track if the moment feels right. Now the spotlight is moving toward how Maino and Jim Jones will respond. Their earlier conversations already gave insight into their thinking about loyalty and respect, but fans are waiting to see whether those ideas will stay in discussion form or turn into music. In hip-hop culture, silence can sometimes be as powerful as a response. If someone releases a diss record, people immediately look at everyone mentioned and wait to see what they do next. Sometimes artists answer with another song, other times they respond during interviews, and sometimes they decide to ignore it completely. Right now, the entire rap community is watching closely. Every new post, every podcast appearance, and every song release could change the direction of the story. That is how unpredictable the hip-hop world can be. What started as small comments and podcast discussions has now grown into one of the most talked about conversations in the scene. The mix of music, history, and personal relationships makes the situation complicated and interesting at the same time. No one knows exactly what will happen next. Another diss track could appear at any moment, or the artists could decide to move on and focus on their own projects. But the moment this record dropped, one thing became clear. The idea that 50 Cent was finished with rap was never true. As long as competition exists in hip-hop, artists can always step back into the booth and respond when they feel the moment is right. And once that happens, the entire rap world starts paying attention again. As the reactions kept growing online, people started paying closer attention to how Jim Jones and Maino were speaking about the situation. The reason is simple. Both of them had already talked about loyalty, friendship, and respect during their podcast discussions. Because of that, fans were curious to see how those words would connect to the current moment. During one of the conversations, Maino explained that real friendship means thinking about your actions before you move. He made it clear that when you build a strong relationship with someone over many years, you cannot ignore that bond just because a new opportunity appears. In his view, friendship comes with responsibility. He explained it in a simple way. A real friend should be someone you can trust around your family, someone you can trust around money, someone you can trust when life becomes difficult. Those words were not directed at any one person at the time, but when the new diss record appeared, people started connecting those ideas to the current drama. At the same time, Jim Jones spoke about the importance of being honest about where you stand with people. He talked about how long relationships in hip-hop can last and how those connections sometimes turn into family-type bonds. According to him, when you know someone for years, the respect between both sides should remain strong. Fans began replaying those podcast clips after the diss tracks started trending. Many people said the conversation now sounded even more important because the situation had changed. When words about loyalty and respect are already out there, every new move from artists becomes more meaningful. Another topic that fans kept discussing was the history between Jim Jones and Max B. For many years, their relationship had been one of the most talked about stories in New York rap. There were moments of friendship, moments of conflict, and long periods where they were clearly not on good terms. But recently, some interviews made it sound like things were slowly becoming calmer. Whenever Max B spoke about the past, he did not sound angry. Instead, he often kept the tone respectful. Sometimes he even spoke positively about people he had disagreements with before. Because of that, many fans believed there might be a chance for peace in the future. They imagined a moment where both sides could finally move past the old tension. That is why the new collaboration with 50 Cent caught so many people off guard. When artists release music together during a tense moment, fans often see it as a message. Even if the song was simply meant to be music, the timing makes people read it differently. That is exactly what happened here. The timing made people believe the collaboration had deeper meaning. Another interesting part of the story involves Dave East. Fans remembered that he once attended a birthday dinner for Max B after he came home. That moment showed that some artists were willing to show support, even if there were old disagreements in the past. Later, that event became part of online debates about loyalty. Some people believed it was a positive sign that artists could move forward. Others felt that certain lines should never be crossed if friendships are strong. Because of all these different moments, the current situation feels complicated. It is not just about one song or one diss track. It's about years of history, relationships, and conversations that continue to shape how fans see each new move. Meanwhile, the internet keeps making the story bigger. Social media moves fast, and every small detail becomes a topic of discussion. A simple emoji, a short comment, or a quick post can create thousands of reactions. That is why the moment when Max B posted the famous wavy emoji under a post from 50 Cent became a talking point. For some fans, that emoji felt like confirmation that he understood exactly what direction the record was going. Others said people were reading too much into something small, but that is how the internet works today. Fans love trying to solve the puzzle behind rap drama. They collect interviews, old songs, and social media posts, then connect everything together to build their own theories. Supporters of 50 Cent believe he simply did what rappers have always done. If someone speaks about you publicly, you respond through music. From their point of view, the diss record is just part of hip-hop culture. On the other side, supporters of Jim Jones feel that the situation might have been pushed further than it needed to go. They believe the podcast discussions were meant to be conversations, not invitations for diss tracks. The difference between those two views is what keeps the debate alive. Some fans want more lyrical battles because they enjoy the competition. Others feel that artists who have been in the game for many years should focus on building instead of arguing. Another reason the story continues to grow is because the artists involved all have strong fan bases. Each group of supporters defends their favorite rapper and pushes their own opinion online. That creates constant debates that spread across social media platforms. Older fans who followed New York rap for a long time often see the situation through a different lens. They remember earlier conflicts and understand the history behind many of the names involved. Younger listeners sometimes focus more on the current drama rather than the past. Because of that difference, the reactions can look very different depending on who you ask. Some people see the diss record as an important chapter in a long hip-hop story. Others simply see it as another trending moment on the internet. What everyone agrees on, however, is that the collaboration between 50 Cent and Max B created so much attention. A huge surprise. No one expected those two names to appear together at that moment. That unexpected move is what pushed the story into the spotlight. It reminded fans that alliances in hip-hop can change quickly. Artists who were not connected before can suddenly work together when the moment feels right. Now many people are watching closely to see what happens next. Will Maino and Jim Jones respond with music? Will they address the situation during interviews? Or will they simply move forward and ignore the record? In hip-hop, each of those choices sends a different message. Releasing another diss track continues the battle. Speaking in interviews keeps the conversation alive without turning it into music. Ignoring the situation can sometimes end the drama completely. For now, the entire rap community is watching and waiting. Fans are checking social media every day to see if someone posts a response or hints at a new song. Even a small comment could change the direction of the story. This moment shows how unpredictable the hip-hop world can be. One record can bring years of history back into the spotlight. Old friendships, old disagreements, and old conversations suddenly become part of the present again. No matter what happens next, this situation has already reminded people that competition is still alive in rap. The moment the diss record dropped, the idea that 50 Cent had stepped away from rap disappeared completely. Instead, the conversation shifted to something else. Now, the question is not whether he will rap again. The real question is who will respond next and how the rest of the artists involved will handle the situation moving forward. Jim Jones, Maino, 50 Cent, and Max B, you are not just talking about one moment. You are talking about years of stories, competition, friendships, and disagreements. Many longtime fans remember when New York rap was full of strong personalities and constant lyrical battles. Artists often spoke directly to each other through music. Because of that history, when a new diss record appears today, older listeners immediately recognize the pattern. To them, it feels like a return to classic rap competition. The track "No More Tricks, No More Lies" quickly became the center of the conversation. People kept replaying the verse from 50 Cent and debating whether it hit the target or not. Some listeners said the verse did exactly what it needed to do. It got attention, it responded to criticism, and it reminded everyone that he could still jump into the booth whenever he wanted. Others felt the verse was not strong enough for the moment. They expected something sharper and more aggressive. Because of those mixed opinions, the internet stayed busy arguing about the song for days. While the debate about the music continued, fans were also watching how the other rappers involved would react. When a diss record names or hints at multiple artists, the spotlight immediately moves toward them. People start asking the same question again and again. Who is going to respond first? For many listeners, the biggest curiosity was about Jim Jones. Over the years, he has built a reputation for being direct and confident when someone challenges him. That is why many fans believe he will eventually address the situation in some way. At the same time, people were paying attention to Maino because of the strong opinions he had already shared during podcast discussions. His words about loyalty and friendship were still fresh in the minds of listeners. Now, fans wanted to see if those ideas would influence how he handled this new moment. Another name in the conversation was Fabulous. Even though he is often known for a calm personality, his presence in the discussion made people curious about whether he would respond or simply stay quiet. Sometimes artists choose silence instead of turning a situation into a full rap battle. Then there's Dave East. He represents a slightly younger generation compared to some of the other artists in this conversation. Because of that, fans wonder whether he would approach the situation differently or simply stay focused on his own music. All these different personalities create a complicated story. Each artist has their own style, their own fan base, and their own way of dealing with conflict. That is why predicting the next move becomes difficult. Meanwhile, the role of Max B continues to confuse many listeners. In several interviews after his release, he sounded calm and positive about the future. When asked about the past, he often avoided speaking with anger. Instead, he talked about growth and moving forward. Because of that tone, many fans believed the old tension between him and Jim Jones might slowly fade over time. That is why seeing him appear on a track with 50 Cent during a moment like this raised so many questions. Some fans believe it was simply music and nothing more. They argue that artists work together all the time and that collaboration does not always mean taking sides. According to that view, the song should be seen as just another record. Other fans disagree strongly. They believe timing is everything in hip-hop. When two artists join forces during a moment of tension, people naturally see it as a statement. Even if the intention was not to start drama, the public perception can still turn it into one. That difference of opinion is what keeps the conversation going.